Hello, students. This is the last audio of the subject export marketing for TY BCom IDOL. In earlier three modules, we all spoke about how the export marketing deals in the international market. We spoke about the pricing strategies, marketing strategies that are implemented. We also spoke about the various monetary terminologies or how the loan is being acquired from the bank. And now we have come to the end part of it. That's the fourth chapter of export procedure and documentation. So basically, two major topics that we are going to discuss in this chapter. The first half, we will be talking all about the export procedure, and my next video will be all about the export documentation. So it's basically a very lengthy procedure that is to be carried out. And that's the reason why we have divided this procedure into four parts. That is pre-shipment, shipping procedure, post-shipment, and realization proceeds. So this is how four parts may the procedure has been divided. And all four will never be asked together into the exams. Out of this four, any one or two might be asked separately into the exam. So when we come to the actual part, I'll tell you in what way it can be expected into your examinations. So let's begin. Before we jumping on to the core part of it, let us understand which all are the areas where the exporter needs to get registered. Okay, so again, not that very important, but yes, once in a year or so, the universities have been asking this question into your examination for a long answer. Okay, so these are the various authorities, various government and private organizations where the exporter there are certain organizations where it is mandatory for him to get registered, whereas there are certain organizations where the registration is optional. So I'll tell you as and when we go ahead. So the very first thing is registration of the organization. So you talk about XYZ company. So as per the Indian law, it has to be registered either under Indian Companies Act 2013, or if it is a partnership firm, it needs to get registered under Partnership Act, or if it's a joint stock company, it has to get registered under Joint Stock Act that we have. So depending upon whichever company, whichever type of company organization that it exists, the registration is mandatory, because you need to show that it's an organization first. If you have not registered in the Indian law itself, then how are you going to enter into the foreign countries that we have? So it is very much mandatory to get the organization registered in whatever act that they fall into. Second one that we have is registration with RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India. Now, let me tell you, prior to 1997, it was mandatory to get registered under RBI, but now they have kept it optional. If you don't wish to get registered under RBI, that is also perfectly fine. So the registration under RBI is optional. This is basically, since you are going to deal in the foreign currency, it is advisable to get it registered via RBI that we have. Further, we have registration with DGFT, that is Directorate General of Foreign Trade. So what work DGFT has a lot of work under his forte, but the very important and the basic task that DGFT does for exporter is to give away his IEC code number. What is IEC code number? It is Importer Exporter Code number. So the way you all have your registration number or something, same way under this international trade, they have their IEC number with which they can get entered into any of the international trade. Irrespective of whether they want to import the goods or export the goods, that IEC code number, they need to have that IEC code number. So that is why they need to register under DGFT. And let me tell you, you need to remember this, because a lot of times in objective-oriented question they ask, registration under DGFT is mandatory. The statement is true. So many a times they may ask, it is optional, so it's false. Okay. So this 2-3 lines, you can give it as an explanation also when you write the pointer of DGFT. Further, registration with tax authorities, since we are going to have an income into our accounts and all. So we need to also get it registered under tax authority so that we'll be able to claim our exemptions and deductions wherever it is applicable. The various tax authorities that will include income tax department to obtain the permanent account number, state sales tax department for VAT and with central sales tax department, central excise authorities to claim exemption of excise duty, so on and so forth. So that is how the tax authorities, it is again optional to get it registered. Further, this can be two different points, or you can club it under one and you can write it. That is all about the registration with EPC and CB. So EPC stands for Export Promotion Council and CB stands for Commodity Boards. If at all, if you remember, we have already spoken about the role of EPC and CB. So basically they work, or their role is more or less same. Only difference that we have is they deal with different products. So EPC deals with all kind of leather products, wooden products, or even for that matter, gems and jewelry that we have, or fabric, or electronic products and all. Whereas commodity boards deal with the agricultural products that we have. You talk about cotton, tea, spices. So these are various boards which have been made by Government of India, especially to assist those small traders who are dealing in such agricultural crops. And how do they assist the traders? Basically, the promotional part, the marketing part is been taken care by EPC and CB. So at that point of time, again, it's optional to decide and take a call whether they want to get it registered under EPC and CB or not. For example, if you see, if you get registered, your marketing activities and promotional tactics will be strongly supported by this EPC and CB. Then we have registration with FIEO. So what is FIEO? It is Federation of International Export Organization. So it is a status holder or export house, trading house exporter is required to obtain RCMC from the Federation of Indian Export Organization. Membership of FIO is required by status holders to avail various benefits under foreign trade policy. The registration also enables status holder to get certain benefits from customs and central excise authorities. FIO can issue the RCMC under its multi-products group category if the export products for which registration is sought fall under at least two product groups that we have. However, registration with EPC is compulsory for mainline of business in such areas. FIO is registering authority for service exporters other than service exporters of 14 specified procedures that we have. So these are the main authorities under which they have to get registered or not. And there are many other small bodies, small authorities, which are not that very important, but it is optional and it will vary from exporter to exporter depending upon in which country or in which product that they are dealing in. But from the examination point of view, even if you write the 6 pointers, that is more than enough for your 7.5 marks ka answer. So this was a basic part of it, or maybe a core part, the base of it. Now let's enter into the very crucial and important part that we need to talk about. The next 4 slides, just have a glance through it. This is pre-shipment procedure in export that we'll be talking. Shipping and custom stage formalities. Realization of export proceeds that we have. Okay. So these are the 3 topics that we are going to talk back to back. And there is a linkage between all these 3 things. So it's like whatever that we have studied so far, that too even in your semester 5 what you have studied, and the last three modules that we have discussed, all these three things, the three all these chapters are going to be combined in bits and parts, and it is going to get covered under these three categories that we have. Okay, so just to have this is like a recap, and if you can remember like a story, or you can remember as if you are the exporter who are dealing in the international market or in exports, and then accordingly you need to remember it. Okay, so since it's a procedure, you cannot cut short with any of these steps, or you cannot even change the sequence of the steps. Okay, so you need to follow the order the way the arrows have been shown. So the very first thing that we need to talk about, what work that we need to do in pre-shipment procedure in exports, the preliminary activities that we have. What are those preliminary activities? They need to decide, they need to discuss, brainstorm, and need to take a call whether they actually need to enter into the international markets or not. Because entering into any of the new international markets have pros and cons, right? So, how far we are able to meet up the challenge? How far we'll be able to cope up the competition that we will have to face when we enter in the international market? All the small things are to be worked upon. The registration number has to be gained from the DGFT. We need to also check on the what are the incentives that we will be getting it from our government. What amount of tax that we will have to pay once when we are entering into the international market. All these things are to be answered, and then a call needs to be taken, or a decision needs to be taken whether we really want to enter into the international market or not. So all these are the preliminary activities. It might take up a time, maybe 3 months, 4 months of a time, or more than that. But whatever decision that you take of whether to enter in the international market or not will be decided into your preliminary activities all only. Secondly, you also need to decide whether you have that many resources in hand or not, because not necessarily every point of time you will be having enough money to enter or enough contacts to sell your products in the international market also. Okay, so all these questions need to be answered when you're doing, or when you're in the process of taking a decision of whether you want to really enter into the international market or not. Further, the next step, once when you finally decide and confirm that, yes, I need to enter in the international market, I need to spread my wings all over the globe, or at least into different neighboring countries. And once that decision is done, once that decision is finalized, you need to start applying for your IEC number. You need to talk to few officials, government officials, to understand how are we going to get the currency, which account that needs to be opened, and so on and so forth. Okay, so all these are the preliminary activities that you will have to, the exporter needs to work upon. Second, once when things are set, we need to look out for an order. So how are we going to get the order? The way I said, the contacts, or maybe if we know someone who can purchase our goods on bulk quantities and then he wants to sell it further. So through contacts, through known people, through the advertisement that they have received, or there are many a times that they ask for some kind of quotations that they need to have and all. So such things can attract the exporter to enter, and then they can apply for it, and then the exporter can receive the order. So once when they receive the order, it's not that, verbally that they can have it and it's done. So they need to have something in written, something very much concrete, so that we can work upon the further details. So only if we get the confirmation receipt or confirmation mail from the importer's end, we can start with our further activities. Okay. So, kahan tak aa gaya? We take a call, we decide as an exporter that we want to enter in the international market. Further, we look for the orders, we get the order, and we get the confirmation also from the importer to start manufacturing so and so product of so and so quantity. Next step is of letter of credit. Although I have written a letter of credit as a one pointer over here, But I hope you all remember the complete story of letter of credit. The exporter will request it to the importer. Importer will request to their bank to issue the letter of credit. The importer's bank will give the letter of credit to the exporter's bank, and exporter's bank will give it to the exporter. But based on the letter of credit, two things that you need to remember it very strongly, and that you need to write it also as a part of the explanation of letter of credit. One, that is, it is the assurance given by the importer's bank stating that so and so importer will make the payment to the exporter. That's a very strong, valid point that you need to write it. And secondly, based on the letter of credit, exporter can get a pre-shipment and post-shipment loan from any of the commercial banks that we have. So that is a two-way benefit of letter of credit that an exporter is going to have. So all that has to be reflected in the explanation of letter of credit that you write it. So a letter of credit plays a very crucial role to take the step ahead. Okay. So you can see this letter of credit is, we'll talk here. And this arrow gets directly connected with this. That is obtaining packing credit. So what is packing credit? Packing credit is nothing else but your pre-shipment finance loan. Last time also I've told you, you can either write pre-shipment or many a time they write it as a packing credit. So there should not be a confusion. So based on letter of credit, the exporter can apply for obtaining packing credit from the commercial banks so that they can start with their other work. Packing credit is nothing else but the loan that is taken by the exporter to manage their further activities. Okay, so they got the loan, and with the help of the loan, they may take a call now whether they want to produce the goods by taking the raw material and then converting that raw material into finished goods, whether they want to follow that procedure, or chupchap they need to follow, or they need to procure the goods. Yeah, उनको सिर्फ goods खरीदना है कहीं से, or they need to just purchase it and give it to the importer. So that call the exporter needs to take it over here. No matter even if they are producing the goods or procuring the goods, there has to be packaging, a well foolproof, safe packaging so that the goods remain intact till the time it is reached to the importer's hand. And needless to say, marking plays a very crucial role because we need to give certain instructions to the handlers because they need not, you know, handle it just anyhow, and it might spoil the goods at the time of transit. Okay, so the packing and marking of goods will play a very important role to make to handle our goods and to keep the goods safe that we have. Okay, so even if you're purchasing it from anyone else or you're procuring the goods from another trader, you need to repack it, or if required, you need to mark it with your own uh, symbols or own sayings that we have. Further, once when our goods are ready, we need to ask for pre-shipment inspection. Now, since we are dealing in the international market, there are a lot of officers who will be scrutinizing, who will be checking, who will be, going through it, stating that not only documents are the different story, but they will also see that whether we are exporting the good quality and safe products. It should not happen that we are exporting some dangerous products that we have. Or I am sure you will be remembering it. We have spoken about the negative list in our foreign trade policy. So under that negative list, there are certain goods which are completely prohibited, or there are certain goods which are restricted for that matter. I hope you all remember, to talk about the uh, flesh of animals or birds, or even for that matter, the Ayurveda and all such things we are not allowed to export. So the inspection has to happen once when the goods are leaving the warehouse of the exporter. And this inspection is undertaken mainly to check the goods that we are dealing into, because at the initial stage also when they take a permission, obviously we need to mention what kind of goods that they're dealing into. But then there are certain chances that what we mention on the documents and what we are actually manufacturing may vary. So to recheck that and to confirm that, it is essential to undertake this pre-shipment inspection once when the goods are leaving the warehouse, and it is done by export inspection agency. So we need to be in touch with export inspection agency, who may send their officials to come to your warehouse and check it out. Further, once when things are checked, the goods are inspected, the next step is central excise clearance. So export goods are exempted from central excise. However, clearance has to be obtained from excise authority. This can be obtained in two ways, that is export under rebate or export under bond. We are going to discuss a complete full-fledged answer based on central excise clearance. That time I'll tell you more about it. Further, we have ECGC cover and marine insurance policy. Now I have clubbed these 2 pointers, but you can either write it as 1 point or you can write it as a 2 point also. Now, what is ECGC cover? ECGC stands for Export Credit Guarantee Corporation of India. Again, it is optional to get it registered or not. But in case if any of the exporter gets himself registered under ECGC, he will be protected from any of the commercial and political laws that they may incur, they may come in contact once when they are dealing in the international trade. Again, marine insurance policy is optional, but many a times it is always better, an exporter and the importer, both of them prefers to take this marine insurance policy. So they need to take a call whether we have to take the marine insurance policy by the exporter or the importer. And now, if you see like a story, we have received the order, we have we have manufactured the goods, we have packed it, we have inspected it. So all our work has been done. All our work has been done. Now it is our duty to start sending it to the importer's country. So now here we need to appoint and instruct the CHA. So who is CHA? CHA is Custom House Agent who will take our goods from the warehouse to the importer's country. I mean, he will not actually go to the importer's country, but he will make all the arrangement till the time our goods are loaded into the ship and start moving ahead, or it's transported to the importer's country. So all this work will be done by CHA. Okay? So you have a separate, just a minute. So one thing I have just missed out upon, that is this. You have a separate topic of role of CHA, and along with that, there is a second thing that we need to talk about is yeah. So that time we'll talk more about your what is the role of CHA and what all activities that has been performed by him. Okay. Okay. So once when we appoint a CHA and we give away the instructions, what kind of an instructions that we will be giving it to him? He was not with us till the time all this 9 steps that we took. Okay. ये पूरे process में CHA was not with us. So CHA is not aware that what all things that we have done, what kind of goods that we are exporting, who all are our importers, nothing that CHA knows. So it is the duty of the exporter to instruct and to make him understand, to give him an idea what all activities were carried out beforehand and how the things have been taken forward. Okay? So this was a first part of your export procedure. Second part is all about this. Okay? So the very first thing, now CHA takes everything into his hand, everything into his custody, and he has to take it forward. So how it goes ahead? See here, submission of documents. So whatever documentation so far exporter had done, exporter had received, from the importers and other government officials, he hand it over to the CHA. It is a job of a CHA to take all those documents and the goods to the water port and submit those documents to the port officer that we have. They will verify the documents, where they will see whether the documents are matching the goods or not, what kind of goods that they are exporting. They will clear, they will check, they'll verify, they'll calculate, and what all documents, just to name few, what all documents that they'll be having. They may have certificate of origin, consular invoice, shipping bill, then commercial invoice, GR form, so on and so forth. And once when all these documents are verified, documents are checked and sanctioned, they will finally issue the carting order. So what is carting order? The exporter's agent, that is CHA, has to obtain the carting order from the port trust authorities. Carting order is the permission to bring the goods inside the docks. So every level, to enter, to load, to store in the warehouse, at every point of time, the proper permission, proper rules have to be followed to take the goods into the custody. So they get a carting order, that is a permission to bring the goods inside the docks. The carting order is issued by the superintendent of the port trust. Carting order is issued only after verifying the endorsement on the duplicate copy and shipping bill by the custom appraiser. The endorsement must also be there on the port trust copy of shipping bill. The carting order enables the exporter's agent to cart the goods inside the docks and store them in a proper sheds. So not necessary every time you get the order, you get the carting order, you get the goods inside the port and you directly load it into the ship. There are chances that the ship is not available or it might take some 2-3 days. So we can't take the goods again to the warehouse, keep it and get it back again after 2-3 days. It is not, that will be a huge expense, and there are chances that goods might get spoiled in transit. So they may hire or they may take it on rent, so the warehouse which is available on the water port, and they can store the goods in the sheds. So that is option, whether you want a proper warehouse, the lock and key kind of a thing, or if there is only 1 or 2 days and not much goods, not that very important goods to be exported, and the weather conditions are also comparatively better, they may just take the shed where they just have that, not a proper lock and key or something, but it will protect the goods from weather and water and such things that we have. So that call as a CHA they need to take. Further, once when the goods are stored, maybe once when ship is available, they will remove the goods again and their examination of the goods will be done. मतलब एक तो warehouse में examination किया, exporter के warehouse में, once when all the documents are given, water port में entry हुआ, उसके बाद before the goods are loaded into the ship, again the goods will be opened, the carton will be opened, and then they will check the goods completely, what kind of goods that they are exporting, वही document में लिखा है ना, कितने cartons लिखे हैं, कितने cartons actual में है, all the small things will be verified, will be checked based on the documentation and the goods. Only if they feel that things are matching, things are going ahead, they will go to the next step of let ship order. So if they find everything is good over here, examination of goods, they will issue, the customs examiner will issue the certificate called as let export order. That means let us go ahead with the export procedure. The next step is to get the let export order from the custom preventive officer along with the other documents. So this custom preventive officer is in charge of supervision of loading operations on the vessel. What is vessel? It's a ship. It's a huge ship where we need to load our goods. So if CFO finds everything in order, he endorses a duplicate copy of shipping bill with the let ship order. And this order helps the exporter shipper to load the goods onto the ship. So here again, at the time of let ship order, a minute, we have gone. At the time of this let ship order, he will check again He may not open the goods, but he will check the documents, he will approve it, and he will give the permission, he will allow the CHA to load the goods into the vessel, into the ship. After obtaining let export order and let ship order, the goods are loaded onto the ship and the CPO supervises the loading operation. So the only goods cleared by the customs are loaded on the board in this ship. After loading is completed, the chief mate, that is the chief cargo officer on the ship, issues the mate receipt. What is the mate receipt? See, the goods are getting transferred from one person to another. Okay. Exporter से CHA, CHA से port officers को, port officers से अभी they are going to get transported into the ship, and that ship will be leaded by chief mate. Okay, तो उसको हम लोग कहते हैं mate officer as well. So he needs to issue some acknowledgement, some confirmation that goods are loaded and in what kind of condition that they are. So once when the goods are loaded, they also get a certificate, or they also get a document called as mate receipt, stating that goods are actually loaded into the ship. Okay. See, if you observe it clearly and if you remember it as a story and if you can visualize it, you will remember at every point the goods are checked, documents are evaluated, and the authority or the responsibility is also transferred from one person to another. Okay? Further, that we have, once the goods are loaded, we also need to make the payment to the port trust dues. So the chief mate sends the mate receipt to the port trust office. The CHA pays the port trust dues for using the shed and the docks for clearance. After payment of port trust dues, the CHA approaches the CPO for certification of shipment of goods on shipping bill and other documents. All this, once when the goods are checked and payment has been done, other documents are received, and the vessel starts moving to the importer's country, the CHA will get all these documents and come back to the company. Which company? Not the exporter. CHA, custom house agent, was just the agent who was working for an exporter. Otherwise, he belongs or he is a part of a shipping company basically. Okay? So he will collect all the documents and other stuff and he will go to his own company. That is a shipping company that we have. Shipping company will again scrutinize and go through all the documents and see everything. And based on all the documents, they will issue the bill of lading. Why am I emphasizing? आगे भी हम बात करेंगे, but still very common question by the university is bill of lading is issued by dash. So bill of lading is issued by shipping company. Okay? And all this ultimately will be handed over to the exporter. Okay? And all this he has not done at free of cost. The exporter needs to make the payment, needs to give him his returns to CHA. So all set and done, all things are falling on its place. So the payment to the CHA has to be made. Okay? Further, that we go ahead is the last part of your procedure is realization of export proceeds. So goods are manufactured, goods are loaded, goods are delivered to the importer's country. Now the portion is all about making the payment to the exporter. Now it is a role of the importer and their bank to get the payment done to the exporter that we have. So what will be done at that point of time? The very first thing is the submission of documents to the bank. If at all, if you can recollect and remember the procedure and the explanation that I gave you at the time of letter of credit, more or less the same as the things that we are applying here. Okay. So the exporter must submit relevant export documents to the bank. The documents must be submitted within 21 days of shipment. So they can also understand around 10 to 12 days that they might take, the CHA may take, exporter may take, and therefore the liberal period of 21 days has been given. So within that 21 days, the documents are to be submitted to the bank. If at all, if you remember that letter of credit ka square process that we have made, importer, importers bank, exporters bank, and exporter. So this is how the process moves when the letter of credit is to be issued. But abhi letter of credit ho gaya hai. Now it is the turn of exporter to give the documents and collect the money. Okay? So therefore, exporter will submit all his documents to the bank within 21 days of the shipping. कौन से documents होंगे? Bill of lading. Bill of lading is again very much mandatory, very much important to receive the goods or receive the delivery of the goods. Further, shipping bill, commercial invoice, counselor invoice, all these documents are to be submitted to the bank. Bank will verify the documents. They will check, they'll find out whether the required documents are placed in order or not. Relevant documents have been attached or the details have been filled up into the documents or not. All these things will be checked and verified. Further, they'll also certify the documents. We need to have someone, a third party, to certify it or to approve it, stating that all the details that are mentioned are correct and true. So who will do it? The bank becomes a third party and they can only certify certain documents like shipping bill, commercial invoice, the bill of lading, and so on and so forth. Okay? Then all these documents will be dispatched to the importers bank that we have. So the exporters bank dispatches the documents to the importers bank. The importers bank transfers the documents to the importer depending upon the method of payment. And in case of document against payment bill method, the documents are handed over to importer only when he makes payment to the bank. In case of document against acceptance bill method, the documents are handed over to the importer if he accepts the bill of exchange drawn by the exporter. In case of advance payment received by the exporter and in case of letter of credit, the documents are handed over to the importer immediately on receipt of such documents by the importer's bank. Okay, so this is how the dispatch of documents will take place. Further, we have letter of indemnity. So the exporter's bank may ask the exporter to sign the letter of indemnity. The letter of indemnity is required when the bank makes advance payment to the exporter against discounting of bills. Under letter of indemnity, the exporter gives an undertaking to the bank to repay the advance amount plus other charges if the discounted bills are dishonored by the importer. Further, the next one is discounting of bills. The exporter may discount the document against bills or bills against LC. The exporter may discount the bills and obtain advance for working capital needs. The advance against discounting of bills is adjusted against the payment received from the importer. Further, payment by the importer. Now, all said and done, documents ho gaya, checked ho gaya, billing ho gaya. Now, it is a duty of the importer to make the payment. Again, they will not directly transfer it to the exporter. It will come via importer's bank to the exporter's account only. So the importer makes the payment to the importer's bank. The importer's bank transfers the amount to the exporter's bank. And further, the exporter banks credit the account of the exporter on receipt of the funds from the importer's bank. So this is how the payment is received by the exporter. Then we have something called as GR form. What is GR form? It is a guaranteed remittance. We have spoken in your module 1 of semester 5 itself that it is a twin benefits that the exporter will also have and the government of our country will also have, because some share of the income, some share of the money or the amount that we get it from the exporting the goods or that we receive from the importer will also go into the government's account. Okay, so this GR form is a proof. This GR form is a form that exporter needs to get it from the bank, which will specify the commercials or monetary aspect of your trade, and it will also specify what amount that the exporter needs to give it to the government. Okay, So the exporter's bank records the actual amount received on the duplicate copy of GR. The bank then sends the GR copy to RBI. RBI will cross-check the amount received on the duplicate copy with the original copy of GR, which they have already received it from the customs. This is how they cross-check it. So if you feel कि नहीं इधर कुछ भी झूठा amount लिख दो and we get another amount into our account, that is not likely to happen. So, and this is the foolproof process that government has made to cross-check and to verify that nowhere there is any kind of mismatch of the information or mismatch of the amount. So when the amount has been tallied, if the amount received is less than the mentioned on the original copy, the exporter may have to give necessary explanation. Okay, so this is how the processing of GR form has been taken care. Further, after doing all these things, the complete follow-up has been taken, whether all the steps are followed perfectly or not, or whether there were any loopholes undertaking these activities or the steps. All these things have been checked, verified, and then the exports have been proceeds or exports have been realized. So this is the third part of your export procedure that we need to follow. So as I said, तीनों एक साथ कभी भी नहीं आएगा, and you have good number of points, good number of material also to write a full-fledged long answer on it. And take my words, out of all these three, any one will surely be asked to you into your exams. Okay? So this is the another one, that is the role of CHA. We need to know the role of custom house agent that he plays while dealing in the international trade. So again, one of the favorite questions of the university. A lot of times it has been asked into the university. Okay? So in case if you see it very minutely, the role of CHA ka jo pointers hai, it is very much in matching with this particular topic that we have. Because यहाँ पे भी हम लोग वही बात कर रहे हैं कि ये पूरा process जो है वो CHA carry out करता है. So उसका है काम ही हम लोग इधर लिख रहे हैं, right? So the same thing also if you write it here in a different wordings and with the intention that it is a job of CHA करके, the meaning remains the same. Okay? So very quickly we'll discuss this. The very first role of CHA is to obtain the shipping order. So the CHA may obtain the shipping order from the shipping company. As I told you, CHA is a part of shipping company and he's acting as an agent when he's working with that exporter. So maybe for 2 months, 3 months, he's an agent of this particular exporter. Another after 2 months, 3 months, he may become the agent of some other exporter. Or maybe there are chances that at the same point of time, simultaneously, he's acting as an agent for 2 to 3 exporters also. Chances hai, you never know. Okay? So the CHA may obtain the shipping order from the shipping company. The shipping order enables him to book the space on the ship. At times, the importer does the booking of the space on the ship. अगर importer ने already booking किया है, तो CHA did not put his hands into it. But अगर नहीं किया है, his work starts from the booking the space on the ship. Further arrangement for the internal transportation, especially to take the goods out from the warehouse, from the truck, tempo, or any other vehicle and take it to the waterport. Further, the third point is preparation of shipping bill. That is, the CHA prepares the shipping bill in 5 copies. The shipping bill is an important document required for custom clearance. The shipping bill is prepared on the basis of the other documents provided to him by the exporter, such as commercial invoice, packing list, and many more. Submission of documents to the custom. The CHA submits the relevant documents to the custom house for the purpose of verification. The documents include required number of copies, such as commercial invoice, shipping bill, packing list, GR form, and many more. Obtaining carting order, the CHA has to obtain the carting order from the port trust authorities. Carting order is required to get the goods inside the docks for the purpose of examination and shipment. Further, storing of goods. After obtaining the carting order, the CHA would then make arrangement to store the goods in the sheds at the docks. Such storing is required for the purpose of examination of goods. obtaining letter of export order. The CHA gets good examined by the custom examiner. If the customs examiner is satisfied, then he will issue the let export order. Then we have obtaining let ship order. The agent shows the let export order to the custom preventive officer before loading the goods on the ship. The custom preventive officer may check the let export order and the goods. If satisfied, he will issue let ship order, which gives permission to load the goods on the ship. Then we have loading of goods. The agent then makes arrangement to load the goods on the ship. The agent has to see to it that the goods are loaded in the good condition on the ship. Payment to port trust dues. The agent would then make payment of port trust dues for making use of docks. After that, he will collect the money made receipt from the port authorities. And finally, obtaining bill of lading. The agent then goes to the shipping company and exchanges the made receipt to bill of lading. The bill of lading is an important document required by the importer for custom clearance at the port of destination. So that is how the role of CHA has been justified. So that is all for today. Next time when we meet, we will talk or we'll discuss about excise clearance procedure that we have. Okay? So we wind up here for today. Thank you so much.